Oh yeah, cool.
Excellent.
My name's Coleman.
Coleman, very nice to meet you, Sam Otero.
Nice.
You want, hey man, I'm a retired digital media teacher. You live local?
I live in McLean, yeah.
You want to get involved? Hit me up. We need people to go hit the streets. Check out and call me
Glad to
what
see
we're
you guys
doing.
here.
I'll teach you some fine arts. Okay, I'm going in. Excellent. All right. Okay, now we're going into the meeting now. So bear with me, folks, as I set my gear here. All right. Okay. So we are, this camera is way too big and heavy to be pulling this around. We are getting into the meeting now. Excuse me, folks. Pardon me. Pardon me. Excuse me. Good. I got a streaming rig here. You guys can check it. Look, I got a streaming rig on my back. You can check it. It's heavy. It's a 4G router, some batteries, camcorder, all wired up to this thing. Why? I'm sorry, the camera can't go in. Why would that be?
You have to talk to our.
Sir, Virginia code guarantees the right of anybody, any person to view and film.
Any person.
Any person, and I am a person, and I am a citizen, and I have a camera, and I have a right to stream and record under Virginia code.
We don't typically allow cameras in. I have to get our community relations person to talk to you. Okay? I'll go find her for you.
Here we go. Folks, we ran into this in Loudoun County, and I've got a very grave concern that we were told I may not be able to go in there and provide a stream
So if you've
to
done
the
this
public.
before, then you understand
Yes,
that
I
they have rules. Then
Sir, Virginia code is explicit. Any person is allowed to access, view, any
There's a reason
person.
why they're not
Sir,
letting
you
you
don't
in
want to
there.
hear what I'm saying
I'm
to
just
you.
talking to you.
What I'm
You're
saying
yelling
to
right
you is
now.
Virginia code states explicitly any person may record and
That's right.
film in any public meeting as they choose to. And no rule can be adopted to keep them from doing so.
That's actually not true at all. You're
That
just
is
making
true.
stuff up now.
No, I'm not.
There's
That
a
it's
security
Virginia-
risk of having a
No,
camera
sir,
this size.
no, that's not true.
You're just
Look it up.
obstructing things
No,
at this
you
point.
are wrong. You are wrong. It is Virginia law. Period. Well, because I'm gonna try to keep, I'm not
Trouble.
yelling.
You're just being
It's the
ridiculous.
truth. I'm not being ridiculous. They're squashing.
Why don't you go home? I think you should go home.
Why should I go home?
Are
I have
you
a right
recording
to be
right
here
now?
just as you do. Actually, we're live to the internet. Tell the world
Okay.
right now why we should not be allowed, the public should not be allowed in there with their cameras. Go ahead, please. Explain that.
I'd like for you. Yeah,
Explain that.
you're a great actor. Good job.
Explain that. Explain why the Virginia code
I don't have
should
to
be
explain
broken.
anything. I just asked you to be a little bit more considerate of the people here. Okay?
I am being considerate.
No, you're not. You're actually being very disruptive.
And you're being disruptive. You're
No,
blocking me.
I have a specific duty here
You
to be
need to move out
to
of my
move
way.
disruptions.
You need to move
And
out
that's
of my
you.
way.
You're being
sir.
a disruption.
You need to move out of my way.
You see what you're doing.
Sir, this gentleman is bumping up against me. I don't appreciate it. Oh, I'm fake press. Yeah, okay.
You don't have, where's your press
This
badge?
is how it works, folks. No. No. Camera, people with cameras are allowed under state code. Thank you.
Well, who are you with? He's not with. Okay, hang on a second. Let me find out. Wait here. Wait here. Give me a second.
Sir, are you familiar with the Virginia State Code?
I am. I'm checking with something. Give me a second.
Yes.
I'm going to help you out. Give me 1 second.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. states that any person may observe, view, and video or record
I
any
understand all
meeting.
that. I'm going to talk to my boss and I will help you
I
out.
was responding to this gentleman. It's explicit and clear. And that no body, public body, can make rules to prohibit that.
This is 8.5 by 11, correct?
Very close, sir. Well, it looks like it was and then trimmed, yes. Are there rules in terms of having to have it 8.5 by 11?
Did I make it to 8.5 by 11?
It looks like it.
Yeah, that left about 8.
Okay. I'll go further.
All right. So, finding this interesting that we ran into this at Loudoun County as well, except up there they didn't let the public in at all. So, press is allowed in, and I've expressed my concern that Virginia Code states explicitly that any person may be allowed to videotape, photograph, otherwise document any portion of any public meeting that they so choose. So I'm being told that they have to clarify that.
Sir, I
Yes.
can't find my boss, but go ahead.
Thank you very much. God bless you. Appreciate it. Okay, there we go. Let's see.
How can I help you out, boss man?
Excuse me,
How
sir.
can I help you out today?
I was wondering if I might be able to park right there. On the other side? Yeah. Thank you.
You get over there, you do it.
Got you. Otherwise, if I'm not recording here, I have to be outside the box. That's okay. Excuse me. Thank you so much, folks. Okay. Wow. So my apologies that I am sweating profusely. This thing is heavy. That was rather intense. And, you know, I want to apologize a little bit for getting a little bit agitated. But, you know, you get to a point where you go, I shouldn't have to explain this. These folks should know the code, and apparently they do know the code because they let me in. But this is indicative and illustrative of what the frustration, some of the frustration is with the public, which is these arbitrary limitations and squashing of rights. Apparently the folks here know the law a little bit better than they did up in Loudoun County, so my hat's off to the security here. They were respectful. I was getting a little bit hot, granted. Now that gentleman that was out front, absolutely, completely wrong-minded, getting in my face, physically bumping up against me, that is intimidation and downright bullying. Somebody who out there is apparently on the other side of that So they know how to bully. So it was unfortunate that we had to face that. But I got in here. I'm here for you, streaming this live to the world. I want you to go to NovaNow.tv. Please grab our live feed on YouTube and send it out. Thank you. Sir, ready? encourage you, please share the stream. Go to novanow.tv. Let people know about this live stream. Share our Facebook page and share, like, and subscribe at our YouTube channel. Of course, if you want to support independent citizen journalism, head on over to novanow.tv and pick up a subscription. We would greatly appreciate your support. Thanks for tuning in. I guess the regular business is going to get going in about 5 minutes, and then the public comment at 8:15. This is a stark difference between this and what we saw at Loudoun County last week, where folks were brought to metal detectors, frisked, brought in 10 at a time to give their public comment. They were ushered in, actually they were brought into the building 10 at a time, but then ushered in one at a time to stand before the court, give their 60-second comment. All independent press was denied access, and the general public was denied access to be able to view the public comment period, and of course, therefore, denied the ability to film that part of the meeting as well. It's our belief that was a direct violation of the meeting code in the state of Virginia. There's an expose about that right now on novanow.tv. Check that out. Had a bit of a vibrant discussion with some counter-protesters on the way in that were trying to block the get meeting. And the security, gotta say, did the right thing. They obviously know the rules a little bit better than the folks up in Loudoun. And they let me have access, which is greatly, greatly appreciated. Left in the room, we had the authorized press, the credentialed press. Two showed up. As I said, there's a little bit of a dust up there at the front door where they were trying to deny me access, apparently, for I don't know what the reason was, but they did the right thing and they did let me in. But I find it astonishing, I'll just say it, that where's the press? I mean, this is a huge meeting, huge turnout, and a lot. I mean, garnering national attention with these very hot button issues, and I'm rather surprised, honestly, that there isn't more press here. I think they went outside to do some commentary, and they'll come back in and they'll get a little bit of a meeting with the sound bites. But I just want to point out this is illustrative of the importance of doing this work and why what we're doing with Nova Now is so important. And I encourage you folks out there watching, listening, consider coming on and reporting for us. We need an army of citizen journalists out there fanning out across Nova. If you just have a cell phone and you're just starting out, that's fine. You know, I'll train you, we'll work with you, and we will get you out telling the stories that matter here in Northern Virginia. So please go to novanow.tv and hit me up. Send me an email, send me a Facebook message at NovaNowTV, and see what we can do to work together to advance the cause of a truly independent, free press. My name is Sam Otero. If you're just tuning in, please consider going to novanow.tv and signing up for a subscription to help support our efforts to bring raw, live streaming, and news commentary and coverage of entertainment events in Northern Virginia. Thanks so much for tuning in. Oh, the biggest thing that you can do right now, share these streams. Let people know that we exist. Grab this stream, share it out widely across your media channels, and please leave a comment. One of the coolest things that I ever saw yesterday, after about 120 likes on our Facebook page, cumulative over the past, let's see, we started in July, August, September, October, November, October, so about 5 months ago we had 120 likes, and a lady went on, Teresa went on, and gave us a favorable review, which was wonderful, and then turned around and recommended our page to 300 of her friends, and immediately within an hour we gained probably 40 new likes on our Facebook page. So that's how it's done, folks. Look, we need you. I am a retired digital media teacher doing this for the benefit of our community, and I need you. So if you can like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about novanow.tv, and if you can join me in the field as a citizen reporter, or you do a high-quality studio show that you would like to come on, bring on the network, check out what we're doing, and hit me up. My name is Sam Otero for novanow.tv. Thanks for tuning in. Regular business is going to be getting going here in about, looks to be about 2 minutes, and then public comments scheduled after that.
we could have the folks from FCPS Pride come forward for a photo with the board and the resolution.
Agenda item 2.05, National Dyslexia Awareness Month Resolution. I call on Ms. Marin.
Thank you. Whereas the Virginia Department of Education defines dyslexia in part as a specific learning disability that is neurobiological in origin, that is characterized by difficulties with accurate and or fluent word recognition and by poor spelling and decoding abilities, and whereas the onset and severity of dyslexia varies for each individual and impacts up to 15 to 20% of the population, according to the International Dyslexia Association. And whereas dyslexia cannot only present challenges with reading, writing, and spelling, but also affects speaking, remembering, understanding, speed, movement, and basic maths. And whereas dyslexia is a different way of learning and thinking, though with the right teaching, most dyslexics learn to read and write. And whereas Governor Ralph Northam has recognized October 2021 as Dyslexia Awareness Month in Virginia to acknowledge educators specializing in effective teaching strategies for individuals with dyslexia, and to celebrate the many achievements of children and adults, students and working professionals who have dyslexia. And whereas Fairfax County Public Schools is developing a division-wide literacy plan that ensures comprehensive pre-K-12 research-based reading instruction that is aligned with the science of reading so that all students may achieve their full potential. And whereas students, educators, and families will benefit from increased awareness about the nature of dyslexia and the combination of strengths and difficulties that individuals with dyslexia can have. Now therefore be it resolved, the Fairfax County School Board recognizes October 2021 as Dyslexia Awareness Month and encourages all residents and FCPS staff to learn more about dyslexia, including identifying dyslexia, knowing supports available for use by educators and families, and highlighting the success that individuals with dyslexia can have in their careers and life. I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Omesh. Ms. Marin, would you like to speak to your resolution?
I'm not sure if you can read that. I should have posted it earlier. My apologies. So now apparently the testimony on division-wide comprehensive plan, then student representative matters, and then community participation.
I'd like to call on Ms. Tolan for a question of personal privilege. Ms. Tolan?
I've been an educator with FCPS for over 10 years, and today I'm not here as a teacher, but I'm here as a parent of my 2 elementary school-aged children. A decade ago, my husband and I chose to settle our family in Fairfax County because of the quality of schools and exemplary work from teachers. I've witnessed firsthand how educators in our district connect lessons in amazing ways to engage students and provide authentic learning experiences. Teachers understand what the job entails, from grading papers at their child's baseball games to arriving early to help a student. Teachers balance the job to the best of their self to the students. They have made the most of stagnant pay, increasing class sizes, and higher testing demands. It's widely known that good teachers have been leaving FCPS for higher pay in neighboring districts for several years. This makes me concerned as a parent because it jeopardizes the well-being of our students. My children have invested time and trust in forming connections with teachers, only for several of those teachers to leave the district or leave the profession. I was shocked to see over 130 openings in the county at the start of this week. My children and all FCPS students deserve the best resource in this county, its teachers. Rather than investing resources in attracting and retaining the best talent, FCPS places too much emphasis on initiatives that do little to benefit our children. My children do not need another SEL test. They need an experienced teacher that not only knows the appropriate pacing of content, but has the educational background to understand their unique socio-emotional needs as children. They need hands-on labs, field trips, and memories to connect with their learning. They need teachers who can build positive and appropriate relationships. We need to give teachers the time and ability, professionally and financially, to create these opportunities so that they can bring their best self to the classroom. We should be helping our talented teachers to stay in this county for our children's sake. I ask that you make teacher pay and well-being a priority in Goal 3 of the comprehensive plan. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mrs. Pratt.
My name is Missy Pratt. I'm a parent in the FCPS school system, and I'm here to talk about the division-wide comprehensive plan, a plan for parent and family involvement to include building successful school and parent partnerships that shall be developed with staff and community involvement, including participation by parents. And I'm here to hold you, FCPS leadership, accountable to your plans. But according to the DOJ, apparently holding school board statewide and school leadership accountable is tantamount to domestic terrorism. This is accountability. We are the parents. Unlike true domestic terrorists and other leftist organizations which have been endorsed by FCPS. No, we are the parents of the children you have been entrusted to craft a decent education for. But you continue to make egregious policies and implement toxic curricula that harms our kids. Marxist ideologies permeating our curriculum, critical race theory undermining true history in our great nation, pornography and pedophilia found in our children's library books, forced masking, which is ineffective breeding ground for diseases, forced rebreathing of carbon dioxide, and dangerous restriction of oxygen, forcing medical experiments on our children. Over 15,000 deaths according to the VAERS data, over 22,000 permanently disabled. Dr. Braitran, you said that you want the shot for 5-year-olds. Statistically 0% chance of a 5-year-old dying from this disease. You admitted knowing the risk of 12 to 17-year-olds having heart inflammation. All of this is not partnering with parents. We pay you to help our kids, not hurt our kids. We pay you to educate them.
Comprehensive plan, and to please try to avoid disruptions. Thank you.
Thompson Sawyer, go ahead.
Yes, good evening. First of all, I want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak to you. My topic is kind of sort of involved with what you're talking about, but it's a topic that other parents, I'm sure at this present time, are talking about, and it's the transportation, the bus transportation for our children to school in the mornings and the evenings. I realize, like all the other folks, and I understand the challenges that you guys are facing, shortage of drivers, people calling out and everything, but the bigger issue here is getting our children to school. The weather's about to change. It's going to get colder, it's going to start snowing, there's rain. Fortunately, I drop my child off at the bus stop every day and sit there for 15, 20 minutes waiting on the bus while I'm in the car while they're standing out there waiting for the bus. And there are days, and there have been days, where I've actually had to drive her to school because the bus did not show up or the bus was not there in a timely manner. Fortunately, I'm in a position right now where I'm teleworking and I'm able to do that, but it might not always be the case. And so if their bus does not show up, or it shows up after 30 or 40 minutes they've been standing out there, there's no way for her to get to school. So my thought is we need to start looking at solutions and plans to deal with this transportation issue that we all knew was there before the school year started. We knew it before the year started, we know it now, and we need to start working on what we're going to do to make things better or try to fix this before the seasons change on our children and take the stress off of them just trying to get to school to learn. It's incredible that they're all frustrated that they don't have the opportunity to get to school or to get there in a timely manner when they've been told to be there at multiple different times. But thank you again for the opportunity to present this to you. Hopefully it's something that you will address and look at. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Cindy Walsh. Cindy Walsh. Our next speaker is Michael Clancy. Michael Clancy. Angela Boyer. Michael Clancy.
Good evening. I'm Mike Clancy. My children in the aggregate have almost 25 years in the Fairfax County Public Schools. I have 4 points on the comprehensive plan. First, the plan should include robust programs for all students at all academic levels in need so that each student has the opportunity to maximize their potential. Second, excellence in STEM has to be developed starting in first grade. It can't be forced through discriminatory admissions policies to TJ or by holding back students from advancing in math while they're in middle school. classes. Joseph is not at Fairfax High School. You should know that Virginia law makes the possession, distribution, and exhibition of obscene material and child pornography a felony crime. Further potential violations of the law. Finally, the plan talks about promoting parent participation, and I agree. We've heard resolutions tonight. In this regard, the board should pass a resolution condemning the Department of Justice for unleashing the FBI to harass and intimidate parents based on false narratives of violence. The FBI has no place in our school board. This is not Russia. This is not communist China. This is the United States of America. Ours is the government for the people. And we the people and the voters have First Amendment rights. Right to free speech, free association, the right to petition the government. And we will not be intimidated by the government's abuse of power. And we will vote for new leadership at every level of the government. Thank you.
Taxpayer and mother of a Fairfax County School graduate. I'm here tonight to discuss the division-wide comprehensive plan, and I looked for it. I and my friends looked for it. We couldn't find it. We don't know what it is. We didn't see it. So I thought perhaps it would be important now to give you a few ideas on what I think it might cover and what it should cover. Let's talk about and parse those words. Division. Division was accomplished and ushered in by the illustrious One Fairfax initiative introduced by our very own Elaine Tholen. And thank you, ma'am, for that, because you introduced the grandmother of all the words here, equity, the grandmother of CRT, the new buzzword that we've now endured for the last decade, and I'm sure more to come. So tell me, do you know that CRT seeks to divide our children and define them solely through their race and identity? I think you know this already. I think we all know this already. We all know it already. And yet we talk to you, and you sit there deaf, dumb, and mute. And don't think we don't notice, because we do. And another word that's been very popular today, and over the last few months, has been the fundamental march through our institutions for the tactic of turning it into a communist. And of course, you can laugh now. You may not laugh later when you can't turn the bus around. Lenin said, "Give me 4 years to teach the children, and the seeds I have sown will never be uprooted." And sadly, my child was never taught about Lenin. She was never taught about Stalin. She was never taught about communism or fascism. And maybe that's why she didn't.
Our next speaker is John Collins.
I'm a Fairfax County resident, taxpayer, and Sunday school teacher. On page 5 of the division-wide comprehensive plan, it states, all FCPS K through 12 students will continuously progress in their development of the portrait of the graduate attributes. I stood at this podium and read graphic sexual material from 2 boys kissing, and I have the right to speak. If you can't silence these people, they need to leave. From 2 boys kissing, it describes how a 30-year-old something tells an underage boy how exhilarating it will be to sodomize him. What is the takeaway for graduates? Learn how to commit criminal sexual conduct or being a willing victim of predators? The Biden administration just said we are domestic terrorists. This board should pass a resolution tonight condemning the Department of Justice for trying to intimidate and cancel parents. But instead, you're going to pass a resolution pushing gender sexuality clubs on students in Fairfax County. A few years ago, a Fairfax mom tried to do something about the porn that you're pushing on kids. Her son showed her a reading assignment given to him by his Fairfax County Public School. It said, this is, quote, all in their 20s, minus women, fucking cows, dreaming of rape,
Sir.
waiting for, these are a part of a reading assignment
Sir.
that your school assigned
We
to our
have
kids.
children in the
All
room.
this
No
mother We will not be silent.
Please allow our speakers their 2 minutes.
How about you don't interrupt?
Please go ahead.
Our next speaker is Chaya Ortiz. Chaya Ortiz. Our next speaker is Christopher Hensel.
Here.
Good evening. I've read a draft of the county school system's comprehensive plan. I regret to say that the school board itself is hampering progress towards many of the goals set out in this document. For example, on page 3, the vision statement of the school system includes an item headed Community Support. It states, as an assumption, that the community will, quote, embrace its schools and support the financial needs of the school system. I recommend changing this item to read, the board and the Fairfax County Public Schools will earn the support of citizens for the financial needs of the system. The board has lost the support of a large part of the community through their recent mishandling of the controversy over pornography in school libraries. The board can take a big step toward repairing its relationship with the public by ordering an immediate review of all materials in the schools that include sexual content that is inappropriate for students. Similarly, under the heading School System Guiding Principles, there is this item on page 4. Families play a fundamental role in their children's education. This would seem to be at odds with the statements of some members of the board and Mr. McAuliffe over the past 2 weeks. Rather than engaging with citizens angered over the pornographic materials used in the schools, these board members publicly attacked parents. The board cannot disqualify all criticism as some kind of illegal harassment and expect to retain the support of the community. Not even the FBI can make that happen for you. Finally, on page 34, one finds the technology plan. While this section discusses protecting the school system's data from hacking, it makes no mention of the data on school systems.
Our next speaker is Laura Timmons.
The division-wide comprehensive plan talks of the Parent Resource Center on page 38. It specifically says that it works to encourage parent participation and promoting parent awareness. That all sounds really great, but it is in direct contradiction of the school board members supporting the labeling of dissenting parents as domestic terrorists. Thank goodness we have the Constitution. The first 3 words, we the people, affirm that the government of the United States exists to serve the people. The first freedom of speech, the right to peacefully assemble, and the right to petition government for the redress of grievances. You are our elected officials. It is not a privilege, but a right to petition you and inform you if we don't like what's happening in our schools. Fairfax County held the elections, and each of you were elected to represent us. The three at-large candidates received 24, 22, and 21% of registered voters in Fairfax County. There is approximately 75% of Fairfax County residents that either didn't vote or didn't vote for you. You were not elected to represent only the 25%. You were elected to represent all of Fairfax County. To suppress free speech that you don't like, you should probably listen to it. Figure out what we should be doing differently. Stop trying to restrict our freedom to one vote on Election Day. In closing, I would like to invite you to read a study out of the University of Michigan that states anger in politics can play a particularly vital role, motivating some people to participate in ways that they might not ordinarily do so. Anger boosted participation in elections by nearly 1/3.
Our next speaker is Cole Mallard.
I would like to remind everyone that we cannot have disruptions. We'd like to hear from our speakers. Go ahead, Mr.
Thank you. Good evening, my name is Cole Mallard. I'm addressing pages 2 and 3 in Division-Wide Comprehensive Plan, citing number 6, Virginia Public School Standards of Quality. It requires a plan for parent and family involvement to include building successful school and parent partnerships that shall be developed with staff and community involvement, including participation by parents. I am a 50-year Fairfax County taxpayer, a Vietnam veteran, a former Voice of America producer, broadcaster, and a community member, and the parent of 3 former FCPS students. We took our youngest out of CPS in 7th grade because of the family life education curriculum and decided to enroll in private schools at the additional cost of $50,000 to us. We could afford it, but many parents unfortunately cannot. Many parents are not English proficient, and they often work several jobs. They do not necessarily know what is happening. FCPS recently entered into a $700,000 contract with New York's Leadership Academy to stealthily survey students and parents about critical race theory curriculum. FCPS has paid Mr. Kendi $20,000 for 1 hour's work. That's to introduce racism. Now, FCPS quietly signed a $1.8 million contract with Panorama Education, a Boston-based big tech contractor, to conduct a multi-year social and emotional learning screening, end quote, giving them the right to collect psychometrics on the school district's 180,000 students and invasive questions. Panorama CEO is married to Attorney General Garland's daughter. If parents get upset, A.G. Garland will classify them as domestic terrorists. And these are the parents and community members you are to build successful partnerships with. Thank you very much.
George Becerra.
Cole.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead, we hear you.
Good evening, Chairman Pekarski, school board members, and Dr. Brayman. As the majority of this new board is learning and realizing, the 2021 Division-Wide Comprehensive Plan is submitted to the state every 2 years. It's kind of a friendly self-study report from FCPS, where the state has no enforcement or accountability measures to the plan. A Minority Student Achievement Oversight Committee critically reviewed and analyzed the data and information in the plan, but drew less rosy conclusions. On performance of which all students in the general population could participate, most 2019-2020 targets are not met, and the gaps between Asian and white students and all other demographic groups were significant, be it school readiness for kindergarten, reading and math SOL scores, on-time graduation, and participation in performance of rigorous coursework, including advanced academic and honors courses, taking Algebra 1 by 8th grade, and passing honors in AP, IB, and dual Roman classes. The data also showed that all demographic groups benefited and performed nearly equal in expand opportunities to participate in Young Scholars, elementary compacted accelerated math, and elementary and middle school level 4 courses. Participation in these programs tracks them into middle school Algebra 1 and honors classes, eligibility to apply to TJ, and to enroll to AP and IB dual enrollment classes, and finally passing IB and AP exams by their senior year. FCPS should determine whether retaining the portrait or graduate goals is needed today for all students and not just a minority who benefit from the system that moves students along different academic and career tracks. The portrait or graduate has been a focus for FCPS since it was adopted in 2014, but no formal data has yet to be collected on progress toward these attributes. MSAOC has set 12 school division-wide objectives. A formal letter will be provided to the boards tomorrow so you can digest our evaluations of the objectives. Also, the board should make sure they are connecting all the dots with all the plans and making sure there are meaningful data-driven school improvement plans for each 200+ schools, from which each principal will be evaluated from, which goes into the RAS evaluation, then to the deputy superintendent's evaluation, and then finally to the superintendent's evaluation. A total system accountability. On a final note, MSAOC has invited Ms. McCarthy for its December 8th meeting to discuss this.
Our next speaker is Amber Iglesias.
Cool.
Hi everybody, I just signed up so I'm not as prepared as everybody else, but my name's Amber Iglesias and I have 2 disabled children that attend Fairfax County Public Schools in the elementary level. My son is autistic and he's also level 4 AAP. He recently had to move from his neighborhood school in the local level 4 program to a CSS site. He is very, very happy and it's a great program. However, he does not get level 4 AAP anymore. I'm here today to ask you to invest in 2 e-centers throughout the district. We already have the infrastructure. We have CSS sites across every pyramid, and we also have AAP centers and local AAP schools. Every school has an AART. A meaningful partnership between these 2 programs is the next logical step for our 2E children. FCPS claims to meet every child where they are, but 2E children like mine are not able to flourish and learn in the appropriate setting. FCPS also claims to be the leader and lead the way for other school districts. So I'm asking you to do this. Lead the way so children like my son can flourish across the state and the country. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Amanda Campbell.
Good evening. I'm excited for the work being done on the literacy plan discussed in Tuesday's work session. I especially appreciated Dr. Solari specifically speaking throughout the work session about debunking the myth that all children learn to read differently. The brain science shows that all children require explicit, systemic instruction. As a parent of a child accessing the adapted curriculum, I was incredibly disappointed by the FCPS staff response that adapted curriculum students were not part of the plan, that they have a separate curriculum. I repeat Dr. Solari's words that the concept that children learn to read differently is a myth. Separate is not equal. Students with significant disabilities can learn to read and write. Research supports this. I urge the school board and leadership to purchase the book, Comprehensive Literacy for All, Teaching Students with Significant Disabilities to Read and Write by Karen Erickson and David Copenhaver. Additionally, if FCPS is serious about all kindergartners entering will have the essential skills needed for school success, then FCPS must stop denying preschool students access to speech and language services. Students cannot be given AAC devices due to their severity of need for their communication, yet not given speech services to support learning how to use those devices. This is a long-standing issue that deprives students of necessary interventions at a critical time of their development. I really want to thank you so much for the literacy plan. It is critically important. It must include all students. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Asra Namani.
So I have come before you for many months now. In May 2020, I was just another PTA mom. I didn't care about your politics because I thought you had it under control. And then all of a sudden, the system shut down. And now, a year and a half later, you try to throw this division-wide comprehensive plan at us as if we're going to get lost in these details and be convinced I have sat alone here sometimes because I want to hear what you have to say as you try to pursue your tactics of deception and political corruption. But now you have a room full of parents because you have not listened to us for the last year and a half. We stand here now. My shirt says very simply, I'm a mom, not a domestic terrorist. You, Abrara Ramesh, sat here on the eve of 9/11 and dared to say that the hijackers from 9/11 should not be called terrorists. But now, we sit here before you. Stacey Langton came before you exposing pornography that you are buying for our school libraries, and not a single one of you phoned her. Not a single one of you has followed up with her. And so why do you have this parent engagement when you don't want to engage with parents? You've made it now federal policy to terrorize us, to take a war on us. Why are these parents here? You are parents. Can you not have any comprehension of the frustration, anger, and just sadness that is gripping the hearts of parents across this country? You speak about one Fairfax is a joke when you divide our community like this. So look in your hearts and listen to these people. We are parents and we are human beings.
Alana Willett.
Hi, I'm a student at Fairfax County Public Schools currently. I'm not a parent of a child that has already graduated some years ago, or a parent who has graduated from the school some years ago. I'm a current student at Fairfax County, and I'm just saying that's not, these things that you are claiming about our libraries aren't true. We're not being exposed to anything. Why are you calling me a liar? I'm a student. What? I'm a student at this school. I've been through the education system. I'm Asian and I'm white. I've been a part of the percentages that you guys have been mentioning over and over and over, and this is not what's happening in our school system. In fact, I feel like there needs to be more education on FLE curriculum in general, because all we are learning is about anatomy. That's it. I know more about the anatomy of others than I do myself, and that's just unnecessary.
Ms. Willett, if you just pause for just a minute, I'd like to remind our audience that our speaker has 2 minutes. We'd like to hear from her. Please allow her to finish.
I will. Thank you. So I'm just saying, I've been in these libraries, I've been in the library since elementary school. There's nothing that is inappropriate unless you go looking for it. Our
speaker for 2 minutes.
Our curriculum in itself. Are you really bullying a 17-year-old girl right now? I'm just it's ridiculous, because all of you don't know what it's like to be a high schooler in Fairfax County at this time. You don't know what it's like to be treated as a high schooler in Fairfax County at this time. You don't know what it's like for us to have to hear these types of ridiculous things, to be taken back, to have steps be taken back for us when we're trying to go forward with this. We're trying to move forward.
Our next speaker is Rashida Harari. Before our next speaker, I would also like to remind our speakers to address their comments to the board, please.
Thank you for letting me speak. I just signed up, and so I'm not as well prepared as some of the earlier speakers. I actually came to this meeting a little bit worried about safety, and I want to tell you, in the past 19 months, I think you said, Pranav, I have seen exemplary work and compassion and empathy from all the teachers of my son and all the children I know in FCPS. I've seen my friends who happen to be teachers learn not only how to teach a diverse group of children, new curriculum sometimes, but learn how to do this virtually, and also be able to engage with the parents and the grandparents and sometimes the aunts and uncles who sat in on these classes and address vast quantities of feedback at the end of the day about, unfortunately, everything these uncles and aunts and everyone who was sitting in the classes thought these teachers, who sometimes have 20 years of education, advanced degrees, they were told everything they were doing wrong all through the day. So I want to be a voice of thankfulness and gratitude to you guys, because I've seen a little bit behind the curtain, thanks to my teacher friends and parents of children who really needed a lot of help during this time. I realize you guys were thrown into this, like most of us, with absolutely no preparation. And again, I just want to thank you.
I'd like to thank everyone who came to share your comments with us this evening. The board will take action on the division-wide comprehensive plan at the October 21st regular business meeting. This plan can be found on Board Docs. It is publicly available to everyone who would like to look at it. This public hearing is now adjourned, and if there are no objections, I'd like to offer the board that we take a 5-minute break and come back and resume our meeting. Thank you.
All right, stick with us, folks.
What prompted you to ask like those other two people to like give them their time instead of me?
I can't hear, so say again, please.
Just a reminder that after the recess, the meeting will resume.
Because I'd like to
Community
interview them. I'm interested in what they have to say.
Thank you.
As opposed to like anyone else.
I wouldn't say so. No. I like the one gentleman that made mention about the ties of Merrick Garland's family to a company that is now signing, what did you say, $1.some million package to study the socio, whatever it was that he said, to study the kids.
Right.
And while that revelation is coming out, at the very same time, as we know, the Justice Department is labeling the folks here that are expressing concerns, maybe getting a little bit passionate, as being targeted for FBI investigation. And I think that really piqued my interest. The other gentleman, I don't recall exactly what he said. My mind's swimming with all this, but there's a lot of people that I would like to talk with and dig in, and I would actually like to talk with some of the folks that are on the other side, but they don't seem to want to have a discussion. I've invited many of them, and it has not panned out well. I'd like to have some debates. I'd like to be able to engage on these issues, but sadly, people don't seem to want to do that very much these days, you know? So, I don't know. We'll see. I'm curious, why do you ask that question? It's huge. Absolutely. Would you kindly do me a small favor? I just need to, if you could hold that steady while I put my pack on. Do you work for the school?
I work for the county.
Do you?
Yeah, I handle streaming to stuff.
Oh, do you?
All this kind of the wires and the IT.
Ah, Oh, okay. You might know me then. I was a tech manager for the county. Yeah.
No kidding.
For a year and a half, that whole NCS Connects thing.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So, anyway, I went part-time recently and opened up my own little media outlet and upgraded my gear and started a production company. And
cool. So, well, this is the time to do it.
yeah, it's been going well. I'm going to get out and talk to some people, man. Very nice to talk with you. Here. Whoops. And, you know what? I gave away my last card.
Nova something, right?
NovaNow.tv. I just put my password in. I think I have these cards in here. Can you reach in there? I think there should be stacks of cards in there. Yeah. Check it out. All right, dude. Have a good night, man. Thank you. Excuse me, folks. Excuse me. Pardon me, excuse me. Okay.
Getting some good stuff.
All right. Let's get on outside here. Excuse me, folks. Pardon me.
I'm like, for a businessman.
Let me see. Hey, Missy. Is there anything significant happening after this, or just regular business? Because I think I'm going to get going.
I know, I want to go too.
Is that that's the end of comments?
There's another group of parents.
Another group of parents?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought public comment was finished.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
So you've got round 2, right?
I think, yes, I do.
Yeah, because Harry's speaking.
Oh, I thought public comment was done.
No, they have public comment next when they come back. That was on the comprehensive
Oh.
plan. No, I'm going to get Lindsay in.
Okay. Yeah. Well, then I'm definitely staying. Okay.
That's what's so crazy.
We are still live, by the way, so you know. Go ahead.
Oh.
Yes.
Sam, you're always live.
That's it.
I'm glad that both sides agree there's pornographic material in the schools. You just have to look for it. You just have to look for it.
I'm not going to.
I mean, this is how they're educating our children. I'm sorry. I'll lose this.
Yes. Go ahead.
This is the level of quality of education they're providing to children. Even when they're doing something inappropriate, they're not coaching these kids on what not to say. I mean, you have to give her credit. She stood up to parents and said her piece, but then said, literally making our point for us. It's there. You just have to look for it. Sex between men and boys, conflating homosexuality and pedophilia. It's not appropriate, and you're seeing our school board here tonight use manipulative language by saying, oh, we're helping the community. But no, you're poisoning our children's minds.
For me, yeah, of course.
Excuse me.
For me, it's not hot here today.
Isn't that great? The flag.
Agenda item 3.01, student representative matters, and I call on Mr. Childry.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair, board members. I'm so glad to be back, and without further ado, here are some of the updates we've got from our student end. So last week on Wednesday, we had our very first meeting of SAC. That is the Superintendent's Advisory Council, and so for those who don't know, we get 4 representatives from every high school in the county, and we really get to come together and talk about FCPS policy-related issues. And let me just say, the future for student-led advocacy in this school system is really bright. And we've seen so many kids who see challenges in their communities, and they're out there ready to make a difference all across this county. And I got the chance to talk to our delegates. And as we really start to get into the groove of school, one thing that has been at the top of students' minds for years, and that will continue to be on students' mind this year, is mental health. A lot of people don't know this, but my freshman year, I really struggled with my mental health. And shrouded in pent-up self-doubt, I began to lose who I was. I stopped getting out of bed, I lost the will to go to school, I lost the will to even shower or talk to my friends, and soon enough, I lost the will to be alive. I missed 78 days of school in 1 year, and no one, at least no adult, seemed to really notice what was going on. Whenever I came back to school, the question was always, how can you make up all this work? But never, how are you doing? I ended up repeating a grade, and I had to work with dozens of school staff members and family members to get the clinical support that I so desperately needed. One of my saving graces was an FCPS mandated suicide risk screening, something that allowed me to get help, gave me so much opportunity for growth, and fundamentally changed the course of my life. But that screening was only administered because I had fallen so far behind that I was technically repeating the 9th grade. And to this day, those screenings are only given to 7th and 9th graders. I know I'm okay because I was able to get help, and I know I had some incredible people to help me get through it. But what worries me is that there are so many people who don't have what I did. If that could happen to me, what's it like for the kids whose parents don't speak English? What's it like for the kids who have to work multiple jobs to help provide for their families? Right? I'm really fortunate to be where I am now. I'm on track to graduate on time. I have a great family, great friends, wonderful dog. And I want to emphasize one thing. As we move through this pandemic, we're facing 2 crises at once. When more than 15% of our secondary students have reported serious thoughts of suicide, that's a crisis. When 6% of all students have reported attempting suicide in the past year, that's a crisis. And when a majority of our students, more than 50%, who don't have any identified protective factors at home, have seriously considered suicide, that is a crisis. Keep in mind, day by day, my story is more often becoming the rule than the exception. And so students, think of the small things. If someone sits alone at lunch, sit with them. If your friend hasn't been at school in a while, check in and ask if they're doing okay. And if you know someone who's being attacked for who they are, take a stand for what's right. We have so many resources, both financial and human, at our disposal, and there is an abundance of mental health resources in this county, but many students just don't know where to turn. With almost every student I've talked to about mental health, I've heard, oh my gosh, I didn't know we had a school psychologist until my junior year, or our school has a social worker who can help me? So let's sit down and let's really make sure that our struggling students don't slip through the cracks. And so I just want to advertise some of the resources that are out there for our kids. In every single high school in this county, there is a full-time social worker and a full-time school psychologist who is there to help you and is available for on-demand help. And there is, of course, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline and any adult or family member in your life. But if you want to talk to someone who's trusted at school, be it a counselor, be it a social worker, or be it a psychologist, what you say to them does not have to be relayed to your parents unless you mention seriously considering harming yourself or someone else. And so with that, I say thank you and good night, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Jeffrey. Agenda item 3.02, community participation. The next order of business is community participation. Speakers must limit their remarks to no more than 2 minutes in length. At the conclusion of the 2 minutes, the microphone or video will be turned off. School board members will be listening but not responding to individual speakers. The school board will not hear statements involving issues that have been scheduled for public hearings, such as the capital improvement program, the budget, and boundaries. Comments targeting, criticizing, or attacking individual students will not be permitted during public meetings. Complaints regarding school-based employees should be directed to the appropriate school principal or other school official. Speakers should refrain from using personally identifiable information in connection with an individual student or school-based employee. Additionally, speakers should be respectful and observe proper decorum in their statements, avoiding profanity, inappropriate gestures, shouting, giggling, and comments that run counter to the spirit and letter of the school division's non-discrimination policy. We'd like to hear everyone respectfully. All statements should be directed to the school board, and speakers should remain at the podium until concluding their remarks. In-person speakers should wear a mask when addressing the board. We are grateful for everyone who has come today to speak to us, and thank all of you for your cooperation tonight.
Our first speaker is Liam Ride.
Dear members of the school board, I'm a senior at Falls Church High School, and I would like to thank you for your time this evening and for the effort you've put in towards the community and towards the COVID policies during this pandemic. Like many, I've faced challenges related to COVID beyond my imagination. This has left me concerned with our ability to remain safe at school. Social distancing measures and hygiene that we were promised are simply not in place, and the effects of it are seen everywhere. From our buses to our hallways, cafeterias, and classrooms, compliance with COVID-19 procedures are decreasing. As the Delta variant in this pandemic has proven, it is not a matter of if there will be an increase of cases, it is a matter of when. While I appreciate the first steps undertaken by the board and administrators for a return to in-person learning, the logistical challenges of implementing and enforcing these measures remain impossible as is. It is simply too dangerous to pursue full in-person education for every student, many of whom are vulnerable or have vulnerable family members. We must make available a hybrid education plan once more. You've already seen over 800 cases this last month, and this is only the beginning of our school year. Students are afraid, and the current model does not meet the needs of our school community. For the sake of those who are vulnerable, those who are paused, and those who may be sick, I urge you to revisit the plans for this year's curriculum and implement a concurrent learning model that proactively prevents the spread of COVID-19 in our schools. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Our next speaker is Aaron Rawal.
Good evening. My name is Aryan. I use he, them pronouns, and I'm a queer student at CPS. I'm also one of the lead organizers with the Pride Liberation Project. We're a coalition of students working to uplift every single queer student in FCPS. I'm here today to ask you to hold books that depict queer relationships to the same standards as books that depict heterosexual relationships. Our libraries are community hubs that are at the heart of societal dialogues, including sexual intercourse. That understanding is reflected in the many books in our libraries that do depict heterosexual relationships, like John Green's Looking for Alaska, Jenny Downham's You Against Me, Simone Al's Rules of Attraction, Cassandra Clare's City of Heavenly Fire, Stephen King's It, and Meg Cabot's Ready or Not. None of these books have been pulled from libraries in FCPS over the last couple of weeks, despite their descriptions of sex. Why are we holding LGBTQIA+ literature to a different standard? The truth is that these attacks aren't about sex. They're about politicizing the existence of queer students. Over the last few weeks, these books have been used in political debates and attack ads, often accompanied by deeply damaging homophobic tropes like accusations of pedophilia. As students, we reject the politicization of our education. Well over 425 students from virtually every single high school in FCPS signed a letter asking you to do the same thing. I know that you are under an extreme amount of political pressure right now, but queer students and staff face that pressure every single day in our school system, where many of us have been threatened with conversion therapy, many of us have been threatened to be kicked out of our homes, and many of us are ostracized from our families for simply being who we are. Please demonstrate leadership and stop sending an exclusionary message to queer students. Stand with librarians and put genderqueer and mom-boy back in our libraries. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Ruby Persky.
Hi, I'm Ruby and I'm an FCPS middle schooler. I wanted to say that I have a lot of friends who are LGBTQ+, and I think the best thing we can do is to love and support them for who they are. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Heather Poplio.
Hello, I'm a proud parent to FCPS kids. I'm here tonight to celebrate LGBTQIA+ history this month in FCPS in support of our students, librarians, teachers, staff, and school board members who have been both threatened and under attack. First, I would like to say that this is so important for all our children to be seen and represented.
There should be a diverse environment and representation of religion, gender, economic status, race, and sexual orientation in education through books and discussions. Diverse learning has been proven to make our students smarter, boost confidence, build empathy, and reduce prejudice. This sets them up to succeed in an increasingly diverse and multicultural society. A small group of parents should not dictate what books are in our libraries. It is no surprise that the American Library Association lists the top reasons books are being challenged are because of LGBTQIA+, anti-racist, and perceived anti-police content. That is what's happening here in our school district. I trust our librarians to provide diverse and inclusive books of all groups of students for my kids to be able to read and learn on a wide variety of topics. All of this hateful and divisive rhetoric at these school board meetings not only harms our students, but fuels hate and hate-filled violence, and it must stop. Learning cannot take place if students do not feel safe or valued. I would hope that all of us would want to ensure that all our students feel valued and safe in our schools. To our school board members, I'm so very grateful for your hard work the last couple of years and during this incredible, difficult time. Thank you for all that you do for our kids and our schools.
Our next speaker is Jake Uden.
Good evening, members of the board. It disappoints me that the LGBT community, even now in 2021, is still under brutal attack from those who show no grace, empathy, or understanding. I want to thank the board, and specifically Mr. Frisch, for representing the LGBT community and reaffirming our place here in Fairfax County last month. 3 weeks ago, I received a hateful email to my FCPS email that began, "You are a disgusting human being following the ways of Satan." This person accused me of being brainwashed and of forcing my beliefs on my students. But that couldn't be farther from the truth. I have LGBTQ representation visible in my classroom, not because I wish to force kids to be gay, but because there are students out there in our classes who are just like us. They go to school every day and are often ashamed of who they are. They may be different from their classmates, but they are equally deserving of love and understanding. Many years ago, I was this ashamed child. I had 0 friends and only a few positive influences in my life. Some of those people were teachers. It was those positive influences that kept me getting out of bed and carrying on, hoping things would get better. In the time since, things have gotten better, but we have a very long way to go. We need more LGBTQ+ representation in our classrooms. We must do more to show that all students are welcome, and more to encourage compassion for those who refuse to understand. These attacks must stop. We must do everything we can to defeat bigotry and misinformation. Quite simply, Mr. Frisch said it best last meeting when he quoted the words of Mary Griffith, whose son committed suicide after she refused to accept her son for who he was. Here's that quote again. "Before you echo hate in your homes, communities, or places of worship, please remember the child is listening." Thank you.
Our next speaker is Wendy Eld. Wendy Eld. Our next speaker is Heather Metz. Heather Metz. Bethany Heim.
Hello, my name is Bethany Heim, and I'm here speaking on behalf of the Fairfax County Parents Association, a nonpartisan volunteer grassroots organization that seeks to ensure students are the first priority in Fairfax County Public Schools. Tonight, we are asking the school board to reallocate ESSER III funds to provide special education students the compensatory services per the newly released U.S. Department of Education guidance. During the June public hearing, the Fairfax County Parents Association urged you to spend these funds on urgently needed services for vulnerable students, including compensatory services for special education students. Yet the school board allocated only $500,000 out of $189 million ESSER III for special education services. That's only 0.3% of the total, and equivalent to only $18 per special education student. 1 week ago, the U.S. Department of Education released its latest section of the Return to School Roadmap. It states that the department's long-standing position has been that IEP teams are the appropriate vehicle for addressing the needs for and extent of compensatory services to address the strikes, natural disasters, and pandemics. The guidance notes that state recovery services are not the same as compensatory services, and Secretary Cardona is strongly encouraging IEP teams to proactively provide compensatory services in order to avoid costly legal battles and special education due process. To provide these services, your IEP teams need funding. This is exactly what ESSER 3 funding is for. Please spend it on our most vulnerable students. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Lydia Lutz.
Good evening. Members of the board, I appreciate this chance to speak to you. My name is Lydia Lutt. I am a resident of Fairfax County, and my two sons attend Bellevue Elementary. Rory is 8 and Jack is almost 10. I'm here to ask you to change an FCPS COVID policy that is putting children, staff, and bus drivers at unnecessary risk. Under current FCPS policy, when a potential close contact is identified, if that child doesn't show any symptoms of COVID, they complete the school day and ride the bus home as normal. The next day, they must begin a 10 to 14-day quarantine. The rationale is that it's just too disruptive to some families and guardians to have to pick up their child from school. This policy just does not make sense. If potential close contacts are deemed a public health risk and they must quarantine, then they need to be removed from school as soon as they are identified as a potential risk. One family's burden of an early pickup is far less than the potential harm done to other students and staff in the school and the children and bus drivers riding with them. If there are extenuating circumstances, deal with them on a case-by-case basis. But overall, the policy needs to be that these children need to go. I am here because 2 weeks ago, my sons were exposed unnecessarily to a child riding the bus home with them who my principal had already deemed a potential close contact. Someone that FCPS found to be too much of a threat to ride the bus the next morning or to be in school for the next 2 weeks. FCPS officials, including my principal, Region 3 administration, and Assistant Superintendent Michelle Boyd all defend this policy and see no problem with it. Every parent I've spoken with has a problem with it, and I hope you do too. Please change the policy.
Our next speaker is Tina Williams.
Good evening, Chairperson Pekarsky, school board members, Dr. Brabrand, and leadership, and our community. I'm Tina Williams, President of Fairfax County Federation of Teachers Union. We're happy to see the motion to establish a full-time staff person to manage public health-related work in our school, and we thank Dr. Boyd for her work. We look forward to continued work with you on ways to address the sub-shortage, compensation for all staff, and planning time that has been redirected. Teachers and instructional support staff require time in the school day to plan and prepare for instruction. This time must be protected as time dedicated for school learning, student learning, and success outcomes are important. The FCFT continues to hear from members that their excess workloads and increasing demands are extending their work days. We look forward to working together to resolve these issues. I am also here today to show support of our public education, our school district, our school board, and our LGBTQIA+ students and staff, and our wonderful librarians who have been under attack. Ensuring the safety and well-being of our children is the center of education. Our work in education is to support every child in being curious, independent, critical thinkers who possess a love of learning, will stand up for their rights and beliefs, can define what success means to them, and are good global citizens, human beings who value, respect, and seek purpose in themselves, which can enable them to recognize and uphold it in others. Our role is to help our children understand that there is space in this world for everyone.
Our next speaker is Bernard Cannell.
Good evening. Members of the school board, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to all of us tonight. I'm not an activist. I've never spoken to a school board meeting before, or even attended a school board meeting before. I'd rather be watching football right now if I could. But there's important issues in our community and I want to address them. I'm a parent. I have 2 children who've gone through FCPS. One's out in college, one's a junior at Landy High School. I'm married, been married for 27 years, to a woman no less. And my kids and my wife were all conventionally gendered, and we're heterosexual. So I'm not here speaking on behalf of a marginalized community. I'm speaking on behalf of a parent in a community who wants to talk about what kind of community I want to live in.